who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Who you with, Kirk? I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk. Welcome to Speak On It with Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to Speak On It. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm welcome to Speak On It. Welcome to Speak On it. I'm welcome to Speak On It. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. I'm 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 who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to Speak On It with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm who you with, Kirk, dog. Yeah, I know it's been a while since I've been on in the middle of the day, but we are here today as we're waiting for the sentence of Derek Chauvin to be announced, and hopefully the state of Minnesota do exactly what should be done. But it's not about me. I want to know how y'all feel about it. What do you think the verdict would be as for how much time he will get? And also want to know why you feel that way. So I'm actually monitoring different channels while we're talking. So earlier today, it came out that Derek Chauvin have requested to have a mistrial, and the judge denied it. So he's going to try to do everything possible. He's facing up to 40 years in prison, which I feel he should get that time or more. But unfortunately, some people are saying he may get less time. His attorney is asking for probation, which if they do a probation, that will be a slap in the face for everybody. So hopefully the state of Minnesota do exactly what should happen and hold this man accountable for killing George Floyd and bring justice to that family. Yeah, some people may say, well, they got money from it. Yeah, but money don't bring your person back. It's time for justice, and that's what is needed, is justice. You can call in and give your opinion of it. I just have a couple of rules. Please do not block your number. I won't answer. And also be respectful. Everybody have a voice on here. You can call in, express your concern, and express what you want to see or what you would love to see that happen. You can call in at 972-591-3665, 972-591-3665, and express your concern. It's all about the trial during this time. This is a special show. But as I can see, they're saying that it's a large police presence there as they're waiting for the verdict to come down to see how much time he will have. And it's going to be interesting for the simple fact that this man, the whole world seen this man murder George Floyd and had a smirk on his face as he did it. And please do not forget that he also have another charge and another lawsuit against him. So that's something else that have to come in play. It didn't come out until after the trial that he did the same thing to a young black teenager, slammed his head up against the car,
kneeled on his back for a certain length of time. And it's like, hey, this man eventually ended up killing someone. And he needs to be held accountable, which he know what he was doing was wrong. So I want to know your opinion, what you think about it. Um, and the charges that he's facing, 40 years, that's not good enough. Um, I know the prosecutor for the state of Minnesota have requested a 30-year prison sentence. And to be honest with you, if it was anybody else, they will get what they're supposed to get, and that's life. You can also live chat with us in the chat room if you don't want to call in. If you are on my personal Facebook page, please go over to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog, and I can actually put your chat up on the stream as they come in. If you're on my person, it won't come up, but I will read it. Well, I'm not even monitoring that because I'm monitoring two different streams. So the best way to do it is to go over to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog on Facebook, and you can live chat with us, and I can see your message as they come in. Um, um, but 30 years to me, I don't feel like it's appropriate, but as long as they don't come back and do stuff like they did here in Dallas with Amber Geiger, um, with Gene Bowden, where they gave 10 years, and she's asking to lower her sentence. So that's not appropriate for what she did, and it wouldn't be appropriate for what Derek did either. Um, but hopefully they get the 30. I prefer life, but that's not on the board. That's my opinion. So hopefully they do exactly what's right, hold this man accountable, bring closure to his family, and be able to let justice be served. If it was anyone else, it needs to be served across the board. It need to be equal across the board, because one thing about it, um, unfortunately, when it comes down to law in America, it's two different laws. It's a black law and it's a white law. Unfortunately, the black laws, you get harsher times. For the white law, they get a slap on the wrist and let them go on by their business. So hopefully this is not the case in this situation. Um, and hopefully they will do exactly what should be done and holding this man accountable. Like I said, you can actually call in today, 972 591 3665, 972 591 3665, and let us know how you feel. You can also live chat with us in the chat room. Also, the family they haven't said it yet, but it's a possibility they may actually speak out, give a statement to Derek Chavez during the sentencing phase. So hopefully we're able to hear that and be able to um, allow them to express themselves, because this man took a life, regardless of what people say. Oh, he passed the $20 counterfeit bill. That don't sentence you to life. Oh, he was on drugs. That don't sentence you to life. But what Derek did was he became the judge and the jury and gave George the death penalty right then and there. And just like the other officers that was standing by and did not do anything about it, they coming up on trial soon also. So they need to be held accountable, because each and every one of you has sworn to protect, to serve and protect, but y'all did not protect George Floyd while he was in the distress and losing his life in front of the whole world. And because of that, we see this that goes on quite a bit throughout America with different people. And unfortunately, a lot of these cops get off. There have been many of cases where police officers have actually um, gotten off on open and shut case where it was on video where they shooting an unarmed black person. So regardless of how people feel, it's time for a change. It's time for a change for the simple fact that um, in this situation and all the other situations, people are tired of witnessing people getting murdered by the police and nothing is happening. Yeah, and for the ones that follow the show quite a bit, I talk about voting quite a bit because we need leaders that's going to make laws to protect the people, all people, not just black folks, not just white folks, not just Hispanics, not just Asian, Chinese, all people, because we're all in this together, regardless of what race you are. Um, it's definitely going to be one of those situations uh, where whatever laws is made is going to affect all of us in some way. Been too many killing, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, um, many more that was killed by the police that was unjust and no justice was brought. Um, um, and now at this point, and then on top of that, a lot of cops lies about, they lie about, um, lie on their report, saying this happened, that happened, and that's not the case. Kind of like the 16-year-old last week that was tased by Florida Highway Patrolman. He lied on his report and never mentioned about tasing the young man, where he fell and hit his head and broke a fire pit. Tased him twice for going to his girlfriend's house. But once again, we need to hold them accountable because at some point, enough is enough. So I'm wondering what's gonna happen with this situation. How will it play out? For the simple fact that we've been down this road before. We've seen these action before. We could go back all the way back to Rodney King when the LA Police Department beat him near death, and those cops got off. And the thing is, we don't need to have another event like this. It needs to be one of those situations where this man was seen murdering George Floyd, hold him accountable. That's all to it. Yes, he been found guilty, but that guilty also need the time for it, for the simple fact that with how they treat the cops as if they're above the law, but they really not. They human just like all of us, but at the same time, we need to hold them accountable for it. So, um, like I said, you can live chat with us in the chat room, and also you can call in 972-591-3665, 972-591-3665. Please do not block your number out, and I promise you I will not be um, calling you back. So, um, so definitely, you could definitely tune in and let us know how you feel about it, what you think that should happen, and go from there. Uh, Welcome Harriet Thomas to the show on Facebook. I see that you're on my personal page. Please switch over to speak on it with Who You With Kurt Dog, and we can see your live chat as you send them in. So definitely uh, do that. Continue to give the hearts, though. Continue to do that. No matter which platform you're on, please follow the show. Follow the show, like it, click the notification for you can know whenever we come on live, and you will see exactly um, know exactly when we come live on the show, and you can be a part of the show. We normally come on from uh, 8 p.m. Central Time, Sunday through Thursday. Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. So no matter where you are, you can always be a part of the show. This is a platform for everyone. Everybody have their own opinion, and as long as you are respectful, your opinion matters here. But unfortunately, we have some people that just don't want to follow the rules. So definitely, excuse me, I've been running because I wanted to make sure I started on time, and make sure we came in and did what we need to do. I know the court should be coming into session in about 8 minutes. Welcome to the show, Marcella Smith. What's up, my people? Uh, Faithful listener on YouTube, always tuning in, even at night. And now he's here during the day. That's how faithful he is. Um, but like I said, we are a platform for everyone. Everyone is welcome here. Um, we don't care who you are, who you represent, as long as you are respectful and also come with facts. Because one thing we don't do is deal with conspiracy theory. So, um, so definitely be a part of it. And Marcellus, if let us know what you think should happen with what type of sentence Derek should get. Let us know your opinion of it. Oh, excuse me. And also, if this is your first time, you can always go back and watch the past shows. Last night we had a show on um, uh, reparation with Miss Risky, and she actually did a great job um, talking about reparation and why we should get it, and had some great opinion to come in last night. So definitely. You can always go to YouTube and go back and watch all the past shows, and you can always tune in. And we're also going to be working on probably in the next month sometime. We will be doing a show again on the difference between black laws and white laws, because it is a difference. A lot of people don't want to be honest about it, but everybody is not treated right. And that's America for you. It always been that way. Um, and some people don't realize that, but it's that's the way it is. Marcellus said he should get at least 40 to 60 years. We need to start making an example of people who abuse power. Yeah, 40 to 60. I get up and tap dance, and I don't know how. Um, I might even moonwalk a little bit if he get 40 to 60 years. But hey, I would be happy if he got that much time. And first thing they want to talk about, well, I got a family. I got this. I got small kids. Well, you should have thought about all of that before your action. That's kind of like um, I'm kind of getting off topics, uh, but it's something that need to be said, because kind of like these people going around shooting folks. It's all fun and game to you until you get caught. Once you get caught, then it's like, I didn't mean to kill him. What did you expect to happen? You fire a gun, that bullet come out that gun. That bullet don't have no eyes. You can't control that bullet. It's gonna hit something. And if you kill someone, guess what? You're gonna be held accountable for it. Just like Derek should be held accountable also. Yeah, he didn't use a bullet, but he used his body weight, his knee, while George Floyd was in handcuffs on his stomach, telling him he could not breathe. He could not breathe. And with all the people around saying, hey, this man is losing his life. He can't breathe. Get off of him. And he's sitting on top of him with his knees in his back, with his hands in his pocket, and with a little smirk on his face. Well, if they do what's right, I'm gonna have a big smile. It won't be a smirk. It will be a big smile because justice will be served. But as long as they don't do like they did with Amber Geiger here in Dallas, they need to hold him accountable. If they don't, may God bless Minnesota. I'm gonna just say that because it's not gonna be good for nobody. Because this whole country is sending a message. And like Marcella said, we have to start making an example of people who abuse their power. Because if not, we're going to continue to see more and more cases like this. And the ones that we've seen before is way too many. Too many people have lost their lives for nothing. Fernando Castillo had his LTC license, get pulled over. Cop didn't care he was being videotaped. Get pulled over. He gave him his license, his permit. He asked if it's a gun in the car. He said yes. Guy immediately shot and killed him. Why? Why would you do that? He been honest with you. He gave you all the information you needed. If you were scared, you should have asked him to step out the car. But instead, he shot and killed him, and he got off with nothing. Nothing was against him. Went to the grand jury, they threw it out. Why? What's the purpose of that? So I'm also, like I said, I'm doing a couple of things. There's something else just came out. DOJ suing Georgia over the voting restriction. See, we talk about a lot of things on here, but this just came out that Department of Justice is suing Georgia over the voting restriction, which, if you don't know about it, we did a show talking about Texas, Georgia, and some other states that followed the lead of this woman company that actually set up a program to do the voter suppression after the 2020 election. And they paid her all this money for this information. And in a couple of states, they've done it. Georgia was one of them. So now, since Georgia is one of them, Department of Justice is suing them. So you gotta know what's going on in the world. That's some of the things we talk about on the show. And we talk about a lot of stuff and the importance of getting out and voting, because there's a lot of people that is not registered to vote, but they speak the loudest about what's going on in this world, in a city. And we have to change our mind thought and say, you know what? Let me change my mind thought by getting registered to vote. Get registered to vote first, and then go out and vote for every election. A lot of people don't realize how important our local election is to our laws, because they influence the laws that are made. When you have people like Greg Abbott that is in charge in Texas, well, he's going to make laws toward what him and his supporters want, and not toward everybody. But at the same time, a lot of people don't get up and vote. This past month, or the last month or so, we had a lot of history to take place with voting, to let you know how much of a difference it makes when you get out and vote. The city of Grand Prairie elected their first two black city council. City of Frisco elected their first black female city council, and also Little M, Texas, elected their first black mayor. Um, so yeah, it's a big difference. If you get out and vote, it can change. I talked about on the show earlier this week where in San Antonio last week, I had the opportunity of meeting the first black constable in San Antonio. She was selected last November, and that was a huge thing because you must also remember that San Antonio is one of those that when Trump came to visit, the police department wore "Make America Great Again." But my question is, America never been great for black folks, and um, so it never been great for black folks, at least not for some of us. But Catherine Brown, uh, she actually the first black female constable in San Antonio. So um, that's how um, that's how much your vote do take a chance. Okay, hold on, because look like they're coming in a session now. He giving out the rules of the court, asking people to keep their mask on unless you are speaking. Uh, Now they reading the victim impact statements.
What do you miss most about your daddy?
They're playing the statement from his daughter, where she's saying she asks about him all the time.
Yeah. Well, when you ask about him, what are you asking about?
And she want to know, how did her daddy get hurt?
That he was still here with us. Through his spirit. Yeah.
Mm.
And when you see your daddy again one day, what do you want to do when you see him? What kind of games do you want to play with him?
Saying she want to play with her dad. Said he's still here in his spirit.
Yeah. Oh. Do you miss him helping brush your teeth?
He used to help her brush her teeth every night before going to bed.
If you could say anything to your daddy right now, what would it be?
The person asked if you could say anything to your daddy right now, what would it be? And she said, "I miss you and I love you." That's from George Floyd's daughter. And they played the video of her talking.
Sunday, May 25th, 2020, George Perry Floyd Jr. was murdered by Derek Chauvin. And in a reaching and a serious display of hate and abuse of power. Chauvin killed George. Not only did he kill George, but he also displayed a total lack of consideration for human rights as he did so. He saw it also.
I think he said his name was Brenda Williams, but saying that George Floyd, Derek Chauvin played a lack of talking about when he was on his neck and abuse of power. Hey, T-Cap, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in, a long-time listener. I don't know if y'all can hear the video showing it, listening to the video in the background, but thank you, T-Cal. No verdict yet. They doing the victim impact statement. Had his daughter on so far. Her last thing she said was if someone asked the question, if your dad right here with you, what would you say? And she said, I would hug him, let him know I love you and I miss you. So and someone else, the second person, is doing an impact statement, victim impact statement. It's going to be 4 of them total. Said this trial had been tragic and devastating, and their family is forever broken. On behalf of my family, friends, community, and supporters, I wish to express my sincerest gratitude for allowing this opportunity and expression. Thank you. And they asking for maximum sentence in this case.
Your Honor, just for the record, this wonderful lady's family here is a Hennepin County victim advocate.
Yes, thank you.
And so, Your Honor, we'll next hear from the brother of George Floyd, Mr. Terrence Floyd.
Terrence Floyd, George Floyd, brother is getting ready to speak.
The point is to state the following 17 minutes. Yes. Terrence Floyd, it's TERRENCE, Floyd, FLOYD. Go ahead. I'm here representing my brother. I'm from New York. On May 25th, 2020, my brother was murdered. Everyone knows about Derek Chauvin. The facts.
Like I said, you can also still chat live with us, and you can also call in and give your opinion about what you feel that should happen. If you feel like how much time he should get, and also why you feel that way. And you can call in 972-591-3665, 972-591-3665. I just ask that you please do not block your number out, because blocking your number, I won't answer. I get enough spam calls already, so I just won't answer them. But if you do call in, please be respectful. Everyone has an opinion. You can also live chat with us in the chat room. Also, just like Marcellus T. Cal and many more. So you can definitely do that also.
I wanted to know from the man himself why.
Terrence Floyd is asking Derek Chauvin why.
What was going through your head?
What was going through your head
when you had your knee on brother's neck?
When he had his knee on his brother's neck.
Why when you knew that he posed no threat anymore, he was handcuffed, why you didn't at least get up? Why you stayed there?
He asked him the question why.
A month before my brother was murdered, I was on the phone with him, and we had a long conversation. And as I looked at the video of my niece, the last conversation me and my brother had was he wanted to have play dates. He wanted to plan play dates with Gianna and my daughter. And we started setting it up. That can't happen. And I have to.
Thank you, TK.
My brother's still young, but I still have to.
Yeah, have a good day at work.
Because this is history. This is the case everybody knows about. So she's gonna find out. I'm gonna have to explain that to her.
The brother is saying this is history. The last time he talked to his brother about a month before he was murdered, that they talked about having a play date between their daughters. They was making plans for it. His brother lived in New York, and of course, Floyd lived in Minnesota, so they were making plans to get together.
I'm here on behalf of my family, on behalf of me and my family, we seek the maximum penalty. We don't want to see no more slaps on the wrist.
He's saying that he don't want to see no more slap on the wrist. They want the maximum penalty.
We've been through that already. Smack on the wrist. No. Because if it was us, if the roles was reversed, there wouldn't be no case. It would have been open and shut. We'd have been under the jail for murdering somebody. So we asked for that same penalty that Derek Chauvin.
They asking for the same penalty as if anybody else would get. They want the maximum penalty because if it was anybody else, they would get the max.
Victim impact statement from the state from George Floyd's brother, Alonus Floyd.
And here come George Floyd, other brother Florence, Floyd, I'm sorry.
Sir, if you could begin by giving us your full name. And I have answering notes on it, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then proceed when you're ready. Giving us your full name first.
Alonus Floyd, spelled Philonise. Last name Floyd, Floyd.
And then proceed.
One year ago, May 25th, my brother George was murdered by Derek Chauvin and his co-defendants in broad daylight with a knee to his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. I was a trucker, and immediately my life changed forever. I began to speak to the world for George from the United Nations, Africa, Canada, Japan, and so many other countries. Every day, I have begged for justice to be served, reliving the execution of George, while others begged and pleaded for Officer Chauvin to simply just allow George to take a breath. I haven't had a real night's sleep because of the
Said he haven't had a real night sleep since his brother was murdered.
Over and over again. Even saying they're going to kill me. Please, officer. Screaming for our mom.
How George was screaming for their mother.
Each day of Officer Derek Chauvin's trial and watch the video of George dying for hours over and over again.
Watching the video for hours over and over again.
To relive George being tortured to death every hour of the day, only taking naps and not knowing what a good night's sleep is anymore. I've been lifting my voice tirelessly every day so that George's death will not be in vain.
If you're just not tuning in, we are doing a special show today covering the sentences of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. You can chat live with us in the chat room. You can also call in to let us know what you feel the verdict should be at 972-591-3665. 972-591-3665. And please do not block your number. I won't answer. I get enough spam calls already, but if you decide to call in, be respectful, and your opinion do matter. We may not agree on everything, but I'm just curious, how do you feel? How much time he should get? And also why you feel that way. Saying that his daughter would never have a sweet 16 prom, graduation, or anything with her father because of Derek Chauvin murdering her father and showing the smirk on his face, using excess force.
I stand before you today asking you to please help us find closure by giving Chauvin the maximum sentence possible.
And they asking for closure to give him the maximum sentence possible. Without the possibility of parole or probation. That's the last victim impact from the Floyd family. They had 4 total. I believe it was his daughter and 3 brothers.
Here today, of course, for sentencing, gives us an opportunity to speak about other matters that I think are involved in sentencing and where we are in the criminal justice system, the processing of this case. As a member of an elected office, representing the people of the state of Minnesota, as well as people of the local community, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I want to really thank some of the police officers in the Minneapolis Police Department who, under great pressure, great stress, to some extent, went peril to their occupations that they devoted their life to. The stuff to their oath.
But Nick, that's your opinion. Like I said, everybody have their own opinion. Why do you feel that way? I know we'll get at least one. Why do you feel that way? Explain to us why you feel that way. You probably can't, but it's okay. It's all right. Was it because George Floyd was black? Is that the reason why you feel that way? But I know you probably don't have an idea why you feel like he wasn't guilty.
Things happen, they don't. They did that here, and under really extraordinary circumstances, completed a very professional and thorough investigation. Conducting interviews is hard enough, but conducting them in the atmosphere of the city.
George the applicant. Oh, okay.
George Floyd is even more difficult. And they did
Okay, that's it. And once again, I don't know what you've been listening to. You got to stop listening to those conspiracy theories. But yes, it was due to several things. How about the fact that Derek also done this to another black teenager, hitting his head up against the hood, kneeling on his back? I believe it was like 12 to 18 minutes or something. The young man did survive, but it came out after the trial. He's facing charges in that account and also a lawsuit. So, and then on top of that, he's also been charged. With a hate crime by the Department of Justice. Him and the other officers for not reacting to it and putting a stop of the murder of George Floyd, because they all have sworn to protect and serve. So you said it. You think it's the document, not conspiracy. You think, you don't know for sure. So come with facts, and come with facts, not conspiracy, with facts.
Your Honor, we have submitted a sentencing brief.
Just because you get hot does not sentence you to a death sentence. That's what you have to realize. So allow me to come put you in handcuffs and put you on your back. Let me put all my weight on your neck with my knee in your neck, and then turn around and put my hands in my pocket and give everybody a smirk. Let me know how that will work out for you. So it have nothing to do with him being high or anything else. The crime does not match up. That man murdered George Floyd, and that's all to it. You may not agree with it, but we had a right to agree and not agree. So that's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. And please do not put any links on my page, because that will get you blocked real quick. So please, no links.
As you know, we are asking you to do that today.
Okay, I appreciate it. Out of respect.
There are 4 aggravating factors that we have identified. They go beyond a list of just what those factors are. We have not just done our homework and found the list. Court made good findings.
And the prosecutor saying that they found the list of 4 factors that that should be held accountable. And they feel that they are justified. A greatly increased sentence, 2nd degree of intentional murder, Supreme Court in our state. That's very recently. Even one aggressive factor is significant to go twice the time. So hopefully they get him the
He had a position of trust in the court. That's certainly true.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Like I said, we're all about facts on here. So please do not come with a conspiracy theory.
We trust them. We also give them great authority. We give them great power. We give them power to use force that individuals to be prosecuted for using. We give them authority to arrest, to detain. And with great power, of course, comes great responsibility. So they're not sent out there by themselves to do this. They're given substantial training. This court saw all of that through the trial, in general and in specific, Mr. Chauvin and the other 3 officers. They're given training and use of force, the proportional use of force. The force used has to be warranted
Uh,
for threat.
Nick, his autopsy report, his cause of death was homicide. So, yes, homicide had nothing to do with the drugs because the drugs was not even listed as for the cause of death. So, so please do not pay attention to what you heard on Fox News or one no conspiracy station. Only stick with the facts, and that's what it was listed as a homicide. So either way, if you let someone sit on your back for over 9 minutes with your hands and handcuffed, try that and let me see how it work out. It's just not going to work. I don't care who you are.
Disregarding all that training he received.
Yes, Floyd did have a heart disease, hypertension, and sickle cell.
One of the things that you heard, Your Honor,
he was asthmatic, form of the more serious sickle cell disease, inherited blood disorder, the primary affect African Americans.
And it's a real simple mantra.
I don't know where what I'm looking at does not say the drugs. Does not say the drugs. So better yet, Nick, answer this for me. How is it justified sitting on somebody's neck for over 9 minutes? How is that justification? How do that make sense? Help me to make sense out of that, because it won't. It don't make sense. Regardless of what was going on, a cop do not know a person's medical condition, but at the same time, you have to have enough sense to understand you do not put your knee on somebody's back who is in handcuffs on their stomach, and they're saying they cannot breathe. They're saying they cannot breathe for over 9 minutes. That's wrong. He didn't comply with the officer order. It's funny how a lot of people always say that when it come down to a black person being killed by the police. It's been many cases they have complied with it, and they still end up murdered. I agree. Yes, the officer did not handle that situation good either. Neither one of them did. That's why Dallas police came out yesterday where they have a thing that other police officer can step in if they see another officer doing something wrong. And they can also have the rights to report that officer to tell the truth, and it won't be no retaliation toward them. That's a program that Dallas police have just started. They're sending them through training to do that. So that's a good thing. That's starting to make a change. Not saying it's going to eliminate anything, but still, are people really going to do the right thing? Hopefully they would. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because I don't care who you are. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. That's the way I look at it. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And we have to hold people accountable. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Just like I had people to say a couple of months back when the young lady, I believe it was in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, that shot the police officer, and he ended up returning fire and ended up killing her. I said right then and there, that was a justified killing. He should have shot and killed her because she shot him first. and that was a justified killing. So I don't bash the police, because I know a lot of good policemen out here. I know a lot of them. I have family members that are policemen. I have good friends that are policemen. So I don't bash policemen. I bash the ones that are wrong, and they shouldn't be policemen. I would say the same thing for a white man too. And what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. I don't care what color you are. Don't care. If you're doing something wrong, you should be brought to justice. Kind of like here in Texas, in Rome, Texas, a guy they just caught yesterday that did a home invasion. Police seen him. He shot a police officer in the leg. Well, they just found him and his girlfriend in Arkansas yesterday and arrested both. They need to be brought to justice. They should be. And they need to be held accountable. That's fit for that crime, not a slap on the wrist. Just like the people that did the terrorist attack on January 6th on Capitol Hill. Well, they also need to be brought to justice, not giving them a slap on the wrist like they did the young lady that's 49, the grandmother they claim. Oh, she's a grandmother because she feel sorry for her action, but she didn't feel sorry for her action while she was doing it and talking about that's the best day of my life. But then they turn around and give her 3 years probation, a $500 fine, and either between 50 to 120 hours of community service. That's not justice. It was millions of dollars worth of damage done to them. And guess who's going to be stuck flipping that bill? We are, because we are the taxpayer. We shouldn't have to pay for a bill for them. They should be held accountable and be put in jail, just like any other terrorist would have been put in jail, and keep them there. Don't let them out on a flap on the wrist. Let them go on out the country on family vacations and all of that. No, you hold them in jail just like you would any other terrorist. You will put them in jail. So yeah.
This court found that there were children present. Standing only a few feet.
Well, the thing is, you said, I don't see how black men are racially discriminated in the USA, but I don't believe it is the system. It is just individual. No, the system is not made for everyone. The system is designed to benefit, unfortunately, our white counterpartners. It's not made for everywhere. The system is not fair. Yes, I feel like sometimes it is fair, sometimes it's not. It depends on who making the judgment. And the judgment should be the same across the board. If you take the time out, follow us on YouTube. Go back and listen to watch the show we did on black laws and white laws. We took one case, two individuals, same crime. I believe the white guy had a longer arrest record than the black guy, but they committed the same crime. The black guy got the harsher crime, the harsher time, and the white guy got a slap on the wrist. And it was done by the same judge. So yes, it's a big difference. It's a very big difference. So, and you said in the USA, where are you located? Because I know we get viewers from all over. Let us know what country or what state you're in. Nick also said, well, I don't like is how they treated George like a hero. I get that. He didn't deserve to die, but he is not a hero. He was a drug addict and an ex-convict, and that the reality, you can't deny the facts, right? Well, the thing is, it wasn't up to that officer to murder him, to be the judge and the jury and sentence him to death. It wasn't that officer. Now, as for George Floyd being a hero, it's not the fact that he's been a hero, it's the fact that it was exposed all across this world how George Floyd was murdered. That's not saying he's a hero. It been other murders that was done like George Floyd. Fernando Castillo, who was killed by a police officer after giving him his driving license, his license to carry license, and he was still murdered and nothing happened. But when George Floyd come around and the whole world seen how Derek Chauvin stood on his neck for over 9 minutes, that opened up people's eyes to what Black people have been talking about for years, and to be honest, for over 400 years. Go back to our ancestors, because the thing is, when it comes down to it, that pulled the cover off of the racism with the police officer. Because here it is, you have this man laying on the ground in handcuffs, this cop kneeling on his back, hands in his pocket with a smirk on his face. That pulled the cover off everything. It's not saying George Floyd is a hero, because since George Floyd murder, it been a lot more murders, not like that. All of them haven't been caught on tape, but it been a lot more murders similar to that, where an unarmed Black man was murdered. I talked about it the other night on the show. I believe it was in Georgia, where a young man laying on the couch, they come in with a no-knock warrant. He jump up, get shot twice in the chest, dead. And guess what? His name was not even on the warrant. That cop came in and just shot. If somebody busts through your door, are you just gonna sit there and look? Somebody busts through your door, you're gonna jump up, see what's going on. And because of that, it cost them his life. No knock warrant mean they do not have to announce themselves. So if someone just kick your door in, you're not just gonna sit there and see what's going on. You're gonna be like, hold on, what's going on? Soon as he jumped up off the couch, he shot twice, killed them instantly. 49-year-old unarmed Black man. That's what happened with George Floyd. That's why it pulled the cover off of the racism in America, for the simple fact you couldn't deny what happened. It's not saying he's a hero, but unfortunately, everybody knows his name. Knows his name for being murdered by a cop. So that's what that is. Now, of course, he didn't shouldn't have died that way. And you said he was a drug addict and an ex-convict. Well, the ex-convict, I would assume you're talking about the case out of Houston. Well, the thing is with the Houston case, that they tried to reach George Floyd to let him know those charges had been dropped. And because those charges had been dropped, no, he was free. It just came out several months back that they realized that's who it was, George Floyd. And they had been trying to reach him for months, actually for years, trying to let him know that his charges was dropped. But the phone number was changed. They didn't have a address. It came back to them saying this person no longer live here. So it was dropped. So definitely, I see that you're on Twitch. Please take the time, like the page, follow the page. For whenever we come on, you can come on live. You can chat with us and be a part of the show. Well, on this, when you say also the riots were awful, so many Black men died during the riots and Black business were destroyed in the name of Black Lives Matter. But here's the key. Here's the key to that. Just because they having a Black Lives Matter protest, that's not necessary mean everybody that shows up to those protests is for Black Lives Matter, because it's been known facts that there have been a lot of people that come to these protests and then turn around, they destroying stuff. Uh, but what people look at, it was just say in Minnesota, started off a white guy dressed in all black, and it was later, I believe it was alleged that he was a fireman for a city not too far. He broke a window to a Target or somewhere, broke that window with people that don't have much. They're like, well, hell, let me take this opportunity and go in and get what I want. So I'm not saying it's right, but at the same time, a lot of people in these protests that are doing right, by the time the violence start, they're gone. They're already gone. It's a small group of people that come out there, they holler Black Lives Matter, but then they come out there and do the wrong thing. And that's not right. So, appreciate you for following. Which part didn't take it serious? As for what part? But your own community did not take it that serious. You're talking about as for the protests and the riots and destroying of the business. I can't speak for every city because I'm in Dallas. I know in Dallas, yes, they did take it serious. I've gone to at least one protest, but I was out of there. I went and I left before anything else happened. And I feel like this, anybody who did anything like that should be held accountable. I don't care what color you are. You destroying people's property and stuff like that, it shouldn't happen. Kind of like when Philadelphia killed the man in Philadelphia Police Department killed the man in Philly that was having a mental breakdown. The protests that went on destroying their own community, destroying any property should not happen. So it should be brought to justice. Whoever take part in it should say, hey, this ain't right. This is not right. That's why I push the issue so much to say, hey, if you want change, protesting is good. It's great. But also, let's protest all the way to the polls and vote. That's how you make the biggest change. Because as long as you're not getting out and voting, these lawmakers don't care. They don't care. For the simple fact, if they cared, they would already have laws in place. But when you start hitting them at the polls and going to the polls and vote, then they will start paying attention about what's important to you. But see, for our local and state election, a lot of people don't take that serious enough. I vote every election. I vote in every election. So that's a complete different, but everybody not the same. It only been a handful of election I didn't vote in, either because I was on the road or something happened where I wasn't able to vote. Most likely I was on the road. But if I'm in town, I vote early, for I won't have no excuse. And I also sit on the jury. I don't try to get out of jury duty either, because that's important. Well, some people were. Some people were. Everybody that was there is not like that. Everybody that was there is not like that. It's going to be bad people that show up at the riots, but that does not mean everybody is there to loot and destroy things. It doesn't mean that. So it's just a handful of people that doesn't. And unfortunately, if you dare, just like the Capitol riot, people was there and they say, oh, they only spent 10 minutes in, but you were still there. You was inside of the Capitol, so you should be held accountable just like anyone else should be. So it's only a certain handful of folks. If they go into these stores knowing they're not supposed to be in there, they guilty just like the person that did it. I don't care if you went in there to use the bathroom. You was not authorized to go in there. Do you, as a free Black man in the United States, feel discriminated and wronged by the system? Honest answer, please. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And if you follow the show for a while, I've talked about incidents where I've been racial profiled by the police. By the police. So yes, it's a choice. It's a choice from that police officer. I'll tell the story real quick, and if they still talking, so I'm kind of watching both. But I remember on a Saturday morning on my way to work, I had bought a brand new Mountaineer. I think it was like 2003, 2004 or something. On my way to work. I normally don't work Saturdays, but that particular Saturday I had to work. I was going to drop off a check to pay a bill before I went to work. I seen two police cars. The first one passed me up. The second one, when he got up on the side of me, he slammed on his brake so hard he started skidding. And you could hear his tire skid. And he got behind me. He cut his lights on. I pull over in the service station. He come out, asked, what's the problem? He said, well, I ran your license plate and this car came back stolen, which I knew already that was a lie. Because if my car would have came back stolen, he wouldn't have just walked up to the car like he did. He would have came up with guns drawn. So I knew that was a lie. And give him my information. The other cop, he back there with him. And he kept trying to get me to sit inside the police car, saying that, oh, you can look at my computer and see. Well, mama didn't raise no food. I had my hands behind my back, just kind of stuck my head in. And this guy seen what was going on. And the guy said, every time I move toward the car, they look like they're about to tackle me. And I said, okay. I said, look, man, give me whatever you're going to do it. Let me leave. The guy that seen what was happening, he actually called 911 and told them what was going on and asked to send a supervisor out. And after about 15 minutes, I said, look, I called my mom and my sister who did not live too far away. I called them, they come up there, and my sister called 911, asked for a supervisor to come out. They told my sister, if you call 911 again, we're going to arrest you for abusing 911. Now, here it is. They refused to call a supervisor, but they also refused to let me go. And I looked at both of them. I talked to one of the partners. I said, look, man, I understand you have to back your partner. But one thing you don't have to do is when he's wrong, you don't have to stand by him. And what y'all are doing now is wrong. And the partner walked up at the same time. I said, both of you, look, take a good look at my face. Y'all stopped the wrong Black man this morning. And they looked at me crazy. I said, give me whatever it is, do whatever you have to do. Then he asked for my insurance. Well, my insurance card just came in, but I didn't put the new copy in there. I had insurance, and he gave me a ticket for that. No problem. I have proof of insurance at home. It's not like it is today. You can pull it up on your phone and keep moving. But when it was all said and done, after about an hour and a half, I finally left. But I was pissed. I had missed almost a half day of work because of it, because we didn't work long on Saturday. And when I finally got to work, I told my supervisor what happened. Had been in contact with him the whole time and showed him the ticket. He said, look, you need to make sure you take care of this. I said, I will. Got home, wrote a letter to each one of their supervisors. Terrell Bowden was the chief of police at the time. Laura Miller was the mayor. The city manager, I cannot remember his name. And what I did that Monday morning, I hand delivered each one of those letters to the mayor, police chief, the city manager. And that night, when they came on at 10, I was at that police station. And I actually when they came out of their briefing, I hand delivered the letter to both of these supervisors, because when they opened the door, the young lady told the supervisor, this young man would like to speak with y'all. They come up and I see the two officers. As I'm handing the letters to their supervisor, I looked at both of them and I said, like I said, y'all stop the wrong black man tonight. And because of that, during that time, and I don't know if they still do it, but Dallas police had to change the way they check for just randomly check license plate. They have to have a reason for checking license plate. They just cannot say, oh, I ran this for that or that. They had to have a reason. And because of that, they changed that where they just cannot randomly run license plates. So, and I received, and I also did a report with Internal Affairs, which Internal Affairs tried to keep you from doing things like that because they know it will go in those officer files. But I made sure I did a report with that. And with the letters that was delivered, they didn't have a choice. And I appreciate the good policemen that I know that told me exactly what to do. I appreciate it. So that's how that went down. So yes, I have been discriminated against. Have I ever been arrested? No, I haven't. But as for being racial profile, yes, I have been. I talked about on the show before, I used to date outside of my race. And because of the car I drove and because of the neighborhood I lived in, I would get pulled over every time she was in the car with me. They would ask her question, are you okay? Is he your pimp? Has he done anything to you? Is he holding you against your will? Stuff like that. And I would get stopped all the time. So yeah, this is not something that is new. This is stuff I've been dealing with all my life. Being racial profile just because the color of my skin. And then on top of that, I talked about when I was 18, man, my best friend standing outside my apartment. I'm in uniform. Didn't even have shoes on. I'm just out there talking. And a cop come up, said he was new to the neighborhood. Okay, no problem. He said he wanted to get to know everybody. Okay. I introduced myself. My friend introduced himself. Then turned around. Cop gonna ask for our ID. That wasn't good enough introducing ourselves, shaking his hand. He wanted our ID. I told him no. I said, why would you need an ID to get to know somebody? Because the thing is, you're trying to get to know somebody. I've already introduced myself. You don't need my ID. And once I got loud with him, people started coming out because it's about 7:30 in the morning. People started coming out, seeing what was going on. He decided to leave. Talking about, y'all have a good day. Exactly. Because he know he was wrong. So that's the type of stuff I dealt with. And I'm not the only minority that deal with it. It's a big difference here in America because cops feel like they are above the law, but they have to realize they put their drawers on the same way I put my drawers on. And some of them don't feel that way. They feel like they're superior over someone of a different race. So I hope that answered your question. So yeah, no, it's a long answer, but yes, I have been discriminated by the system. Never been arrested. I'm too cute to go to jail, so I never had that concern. And my mom used to tell me all the time, "You go to jail, you up in there. That's on you." So I made sure I did not do anything to end up going to jail. So I don't know if y'all watching this on the TV or not, but Derek Chauvin look like he's scared right about now. I hope they do hold him accountable. I hope he get the max sentencing, and because he had one job, to protect and serve, and he abused his power and committed murder. So that's where we are today. I'm not sure how many more people are going to be talking, but hopefully they come out with the right decision. Whatever the court feel that is necessary, but it's no denied that he murdered George Floyd, and he need to be held accountable. He filed for a mistrial, and the judge denied that earlier. Said nope, because you have to also realize that he have another case pending against him. Same thing he did to a young black man. Okay, look like Derek is getting ready to speak.
Chauvin, this is your opportunity if you wish to give any input to the court. And so I turn it over to you and your attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family.
He want to give his condolences to the Floyd family.
In the future, that
he cannot get a full statement at this time.
I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a 15-minute recess so that I can complete the sentencing order based on what I've heard today. And let's reconvene at 2:45.
Okay, they've taken a 15-minute break for the judge can complete the sentencing order, and they're gonna come back together at 2:45 Central Time. I'm not sure exactly where you are, but they will be coming back in 15 minutes with the sentence, and hopefully they do what's right. Now, also, a shout out to Miss Risky, who have actually sent me some information. No, the governor, Tim Watts, actually said he actually don't think it was a good justice with Derek being found guilty, but so with that being said, he's not too happy with the fact that he was found guilty, but you know, you gotta hold every regardless of who they choice. Derek made a choice to stand on George Floyd neck for that length of time, and unfortunately, he will end up being held accountable. Now, what type of accountability, we don't know yet until They come back in 13 minutes and the judge bring down the sentence. I'm hoping we don't see an incident like we did in the Rodney King case or the case that we seen with Breonna Taylor, where each one of those officers got off and the only charge that came about was the one that went into the department. So we don't need that type of verdict to come out. We need to hear this man finna do time, and he need to be held accountable for his action. Um, and that's all to it. He need to be held accountable. But I'm sorry, I'm getting text message from everybody. Oh wow, okay. Miss Risky sending me the information. Yeah, talking about the difference between the justice. I don't know if y'all. I talk about voting all the time, and it's important that we do get out and vote because we need better laws to happen in America. It needs to be the same across the board. I don't care who you are. You do the crime, you do the time. If I go out there and commit a crime, guess what? I should be held accountable. I don't care how cute I am, but I should be held accountable. And that's just the law. I do the crime, I do the time. But at the same time, I don't need to sit up and say, oh, I was having a bad day. How the cop said the guy that murdered those people at the bars in Georgia said he was having a bad day. Having a bad day does not consist of him going out and murdering folks, or even Rayshard Brooke, where that cop murdered him, shot him in the back. Then he later got his job back because they failed to give him a 2 weeks notice. Well, I don't know any job that's going to give you a 2 week notice because of your action to terminate you. So that's a flap in the face. And hopefully he lost his job by now because it's been a couple of months now. So he shouldn't be getting paid. And then you have other cases. Sandra Bland, where the cop mistreated her. And then she later found dead in a jail cell and still don't have answers because of that. Or let's look at it in comparison between white laws and black laws. Okay. I just talked about it the other day. The kid that was killed with the water gun up in Ohio, I believe, end up getting killed with the water gun, and then turn around and you had two white kids that was actually shooting at policemen, had a gunfight with them. Yeah, they shot one of them, but the other one was also taken in with no problem. So I'm trying to find the what's the name. So the thing is, taken in, it's a difference. It's a big difference. Even during the George Floyd trial, and we seen where a black reporter got arrested live on the air for reporting, and he was standing where the police told him to stand. They arrested him, and I'm like, look, it's a difference. It's a big difference. And some people just don't want to realize it. You got to realize that America is not for everybody. They say home of the brave, free land. That's a lie. That wasn't for everybody. That's why we did the show last night about reparation. For the simple fact, the way they done our ancestors. They paid reparation to certain group of people, but at the same time, when it came to black folks, we get overlooked. What some people may say, well, look, they made Juneteenth a federal law, a federal holiday. That don't benefit us. All of it does not benefit all of us. It benefit everybody. And guess what? It's a lot of folks that's gonna benefit. Don't care anything about black folks, but they're gonna enjoy that day off. They're gonna enjoy the benefits that come with it. So you got to look at it like that. That's America for you. And then even the fact of did a story last month about uh, why marijuana is not legal in America. Okay, when Native America used to call that the peace pipe, but back in the 1930s, um, when Hispanics was coming over from Mexico, well, guess what? That was their way of making money. Now they all enjoyed the peace pipe, but then they used a scare tactic as they trying to do today, saying that, hey, um, if they continue to sell this marijuana, we need to arrest them, need to outlaw marijuana, make it illegal, for we can deport them and send them back. But at the same time, they couldn't get it passed just by that. So they had a line say, well, um, we need to ban marijuana because if we don't make it illegal, our white women would go and smoke it, and it would encourage them to sleep with a black person. And the problem is that didn't work out. It's a lot of mixed race couples. So you basically use the scare tactic, just like Greg Abbott. I say all the time, Greg gotta go. I gotta go for the simple fact that he's using that now because he has so many opponents running against him for the governor of Texas, and it's time for him to step down because he's talking about building the wall. You've been in office all this time. You haven't said nothing about building the wall. Now you want to use our tax dollars to build a wall. You have a fundraiser going, a crowd fund going to gain money to build a wall. But at the same time, Greg, you could have done this many years ago. You didn't care about it. But now that you got some heat behind this election, now you want to build a wall. As well as you trying to do this voter suppression here in Texas. So it's time for you to go. It's time for you to roll out and roll off into the dusty trail and say, hey, I'm out of here. Your time is up. Just like several other elected officials here in Texas. Dan Patrick lied about the fraud with the voting. Said he's going to use his campaign funds to pay anybody who prove fraud, election fraud. He'll pay them $1 million. Well, the only ones I know about was people that voted twice for Trump. And so once again, when we talk about election, that's kind of like, I don't know if y'all ever heard of this name, but Ed Snoodgrass, white GOP official in Ohio, who allegedly voted on behalf of dead father, faces 3 days in jail, $500 fine. $500 fine, 3 days in jail for election fraud. And he's an elected official. Okay. But Kristen Mason, black woman right here in the DFW area, who voted on supervised release when she didn't know she was ineligible, get 5 years in prison. Get 5 years in prison, and she didn't know she couldn't vote. But that GOP official knew he couldn't vote. He get 3 days in jail and a $500 fine. And the question is, did he keep his position in the GOP? Did they put him out? So yeah, that's the difference between the difference between black laws and white laws. People don't want to realize that. I'm trying to see if he's still in. He voted twice in the November election, but 3 days in jail and a $500 fine. It just don't add up. And need to hold them accountable just like they would anybody else. I don't care who it is. You do wrong, guess what? You need to be held accountable. You need to be held accountable. Now, you can't tell me he didn't know what he was doing. He's an elected official. Oh, maybe he had a blackout and was senile and didn't realize he already voted. It's a hold on. Ohio GOP official hit with felony charges for illegal voting during 2020 presidential election. He didn't know. According to NBC News, Edward Snodgrass, trustee in Porter Township, has admitted to committing voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election. Court records show that Snodgrass is said to have forged his deceased father's signature on an absentee ballot and later voted again himself. While the 57-year-old refused to say which candidate he cast his ballot for, he argued that it would not be accurate to characterize what he did as just Trump voter fraud, making an attempt to justify his actions. Snodgrass claimed he was simply trying to execute a dying man's wishes. Maury County Assistant Prosecutor David Homer, the veteran Ohio prosecutor handling Snodgrass' case, revealed just how rare this occurrence is. Although he has more than 3 decades of professional experience, he admitted that this is a first even for him. I've been doing this since 1980, and this is the first I ever seen like this, Homer said. Although Snodgrass was initially hit with a 4th-degree felony charge for illegal voting and faced the possibility of minimum 6 months behind bars and a fine. The publication has confirmed that he has not agreed to any form of a deal. It ain't over till the guy plead guilty, and that's July the 9th, Homer said. So it's they say July the 9th, but at the same time, he admitted, and they probably going to give him a slap on the wrist. Like they said, it was it's crazy. Hey, Miss Risky, I was just talking about the story you just sent me, the fraud in Ohio. They should be coming back any minute now with the verdict. The judge took a 15-minute recess, and he said they will come back at 2:45. So it's 2:45 now, so they should be breaking in and coming back in with it. So hopefully they come back and find the right verdict. So we shall see. As soon as they come back on, we'll know what's what. The judge did say give them 15 minutes to come before you can write up the report for the sentence. So hopefully they do what's right. What's your opinion? How much time do you think he should get? Just kind of curious. I know everybody have their own opinion. I feel like a minimum of 20 years, but he should get the max. I'm okay with 20 years, but I prefer he get the max. That's my opinion. So we should see as soon as they come back on. I'll cut the TV back up. Man, I kind of miss doing shows in the middle of the day. Been so long. Uh, Miss Risky said a minimum of 30 years plus 1 day. Hey, I would be okay with 20, but I prefer the max. Marcella said he should get 40 to 60 years. He came on early and said at least 40 to 60. And he's okay with that. We need to make an example out of him, which I feel like we need to, for the simple fact if they give him the max amount of time, it'll make other people think about it. So, and I just hope it's nothing like it was with Rodney King, because that would not be good at all. Or even Breonna Taylor, that would not be good. So as soon as the judge is seated, they should be breaking back to it. And from that, we'll go from there and see. But hopefully it's done right. If they don't, and I hope he don't get anything like Amber Geiger either, because that would not be good. So we definitely need the right sentence for the right crime. And for this crime, murder, if it was me, life, but that's not on the table. Even the family called for the max sentencing. So hopefully something will come out of it, and we'll find out here shortly. I guess the judge haven't been seated yet. Let me look at I'm running double and triple things today. Have my monitor on in front of me, then I'm also looking at so and the right now in front of right now in the in Minnesota, they showing the crowd that is outside yelling Black Lives Matter, holding up George Floyd picture, and oh, okay, they talking to someone that heard Derek speak. After he said condolence to the family. Yeah. Oh, I wish y'all can hear her. Let me. Hold on. I don't know if y'all can hear her. Okay, the judge is getting ready to come back in. Oh. They cut it off because she used the N word. Uh, talking about some of you may not like the language that was said, but at the same time, those are true feelings. So I'm hoping the judge is. Okay. So now they're saying that what can happen in this sentence, They look at the crime and look at his background. And so far, he haven't been charged with anything in his background because the okay, the judge coming back in. Hold on.
Both from the Floyd family and the defendant's family. I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. I just truly appreciate it that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input. I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law, but my comments are actually going to be very brief because most of it's going to be in writing. I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case.
Nah, I don't think that's going to be
And that is
good.
why, as opposed to trying to be being profound here on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determine the sentence in this case. What the case is, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge the deep and tremendous pain that all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family. You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community. It has been painful throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages.
Mm,
The
that
trial
don't sound
court
good.
judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law
Can you hear that pretty good, Marcellus?
and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2, paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. It's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You're granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
2 is remanded in custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding.
22 and a half years.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
He got 22 and a half years. How do you feel about it? Yeah, Big Bubba finna have a party. 22 and a half years is what he sentenced. 270 months. He getting credit for 199 days that he spent in jail. Now that the verdict is out, what would be next? Like the judge said, he's not sending a message to anyone, but he's basing it up on the evidence in the court of law. It's not the max sentence, but I said I hope he did get at least 20 years. But he did get 22 and a half. And I don't know about y'all, but I heard some sticks being broken to see who get the first part. I hate to say, well, I'm not going to say that, but 22 and a half years is the sentence. He kind of threw me off at first when he said 10 years. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I know we're not finna sit another Amber Geiger coming in, but 22 and a half years is the sentence for Derek Chauvin, and I feel what's gonna happen because he have other charges coming up against him, as well as lawsuits as well. So hopefully this can bring the family some closure. Like Miss Risky said, it's also affect both families. So so I was like, oops, my bad. I forgot I had the microphone up there. So both families is suffering because, like the mother said, even once he's sentenced, he's still gonna be her son. 22 and a half years, I think it do, even though the judge said he's not sending out a message. It's not sending out a message, but it is holding him accountable for the law. So Marcella said, me too. He said 10. I was like, what's his at? Hey, I feel you. I'm happy with 22 and a half. I was hoping he got at least 20. Oh, Marcella's just the 0.5 years for me. Yeah, 22 and a half years. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Like I said earlier, he did try to ask for a mistrial. Judge denied it.
Wait for life, Lord Jesus. I know we see one count, but Lord, let them 2 counts count for us. Heavenly Father, bring healing to our city and bring the results of change. Break these chains for these years that we've been holding on to each other, Lord Jesus. I pray that you separate everything that's trying to take us away, Lord Jesus. I pray you bind away every evil spirit. Turn us, Lord, with his way, Lord Jesus.
So that's one of the local activists that is praying outside the courthouse. And so far, it seems like everybody is okay with that. All right, Ms. Risky, thank you for checking in. I'm happy with the 22 and a half years. I don't know about y'all, but that's a good thing. A good thing that
When I say that it's on my
he's being held accountable. Wish it would have been the max. Wish it would have been the max, but 22 and a half years is a lot. Yeah, he probably come out with some cornrows and change his name to Dietrich. No offense to no Dietrichs, but his name might be changed. Um, so, but 22 and a half years, that's a good thing. I'm glad to see some form of justice done in this situation. I said I was hoping it would have been at least 20 years, and it's 22 and a half. And the half was for Miss Risky. Um, so, hey, for everyone that's just tuning in, you have been listening to Speak On It with Who You With, Kurt, though. I haven't done a day show in years. Well, not years, but in a while. But I was glad to be able to come on today, and actually do a show to cover this trial. Now, here come the healing part. And for the family of George Floyd, even the brother that said he was a truck driver. Now, I've been a truck driver for over 20 years, and he said he haven't had a good night's sleep since all this happened. And he been traveling all over this world talking about what happened to his brother. But even in the midst of it, the fact that he's doing all these traveling, giving speeches everywhere, all over this world, not just this country, but over the world, giving different speeches that take a toll on you. And the thing is, he started doing this shortly after his brother was killed. But I'm gonna ask the brother, if no one haven't told you, please get some counseling to the family, get counseling, because it do work. It works. Get some counseling and get you some rest. Y'all did a hell of a job by staying on this and not letting them slide with what they did to George. And I'm going to continue to pray for y'all, because I understand you have to have time to sit back, take some time for yourself, grieve properly. That's why I was off last week. Have so much coming against me. And I understand about the fact you have to get up and speak, and you have you're on this platform, people looking at you, but they don't realize the struggle that you're going through. And every time you have to talk about your brother, you reliving everything. One brother said he would sit back and watch that video for hours. For hours. That's a lot. But you have to keep a smile on your face or go out and talk about this. And it's not easy. So I'm asking, please, if you're not taking counseling, please get some counseling, and also get you some rest. Get you some rest. Y'all did a great job for fighting for your brother, for your niece. Take some time off, get some rest. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. I love each and every one of you. We will be back Sunday. I mentioned last night that Sunday I'm going to pose a question, which is going to be very interesting when I pose this question. And hopefully y'all are a part of it and be a part of it to answer this question, your honest opinion about it. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you until Sunday. If the good Lord say the same, peace.